Hi, everybody. It's definitely been a long time since I've talked to any of you, but I apologize. It's almost been to hang out with my girlfriend and trying to get her used to the world that is North Dakota. I was basically just showing her the sites that I think she would enjoy and introduce her to some of the places that I think would interest her and that, also might get her out of the house for a little bit because she definitely sounds like one of those people now since I've met her to be too shy and scared and don't want to have an asthma attack or the sun. So she just stays inside literally for many days. So, which is more like a gamer's behavior, which is understandable. Um, I just wanted to maybe show her the opportunities, and if she wanted to, she could. Anyway, this is more of a personal, deep talk I wanted to have with you guys. As most of you should have known or should know, I guess maybe not. Uh, Things have been really pretty tense around here lately. I'm in the sunroom. It's quite beautiful out right now. There's like three couches in here, one love seat, and three couches and this little dorky table in front of me. Um, I try not to get emotional, but I'm already pretty tense. It's literally been really tense here. Uh, 2 fucking days of intense yelling, anger, tension, negativity, and just frustration and tears. And they're both been between my cousin's boyfriend, uh, James, and my girlfriend, Sage, and a bit of Casey, too. Not so much Casey, but mostly between those two. And I don't know whose side I'd be on. I think I'm more or less on Sage's side, to be honest, because it's happened again. I've been literally thrown in between two people, family and one of my friends, and family's not standing up for my friend at all, except for Casey did a little bit of it. She actually listened relatively okay to Sage, but then she didn't exactly do anything when James was yelling at her, which kind of irritated me and shocked me, but I can't force anyone to be on my side. I just kind of hope that they know from all the times I talked to her about it that Sage was a good person and she would never do any wrongs or do anything intentionally because they didn't want to. Uh, as most of you know, or those that known Sage, she grew up with a dark past, as most of us did, but she also grew up in foster homes and wasn't really taught how to be a roommate, I guess, in a proper home. She was not, taught, how to do dishes or anything else like that. Usually, apparently, her foster mom or whatever did it for her. So she literally wasn't taught to do anything. But, now since she was a bit older, she kind of learned how to do a bit of stuff. But yet, James literally chewed her out twice within the same day of last week. Or within this week, I forget, this week or last week. Chewed her out twice. And granted, this is never all about me at all. It wasn't about me at all. It was all attacked on Sage, which, of course, nobody knows, not even Sage herself, that I'm still really irritated and torn about this because I was just starting to like James because apparently we're both Scorpios. We both love Casey, and we both kind of have some strange sense of humor between us. So I was just starting to like him, and all of a sudden he blew up on Sage like that in front of me, and Casey didn't do anything but let him do as he pleased, or what he thought was right, apparently. Now, this was all about uh, cleaning up after ourselves, apparently. Uh, Making sure so James, after a long hot day in the sun of work, doesn't have to come home to clean every single day. And this also went around how Casey felt she was tired of living in a home where it's dirty all the time, and that no person should ever live like that at all. And that it should be nice calm, happy. She can bring friends over for a dinner party, and they can actually compliment and see Casey's personality actually in the house and everything. And it's a nice house, but a few reasons I kind of agreed and disagreed with Casey right here, and James. Hopefully this video will take all of it. If not, I'll do the rest on Instagram Live and not Facebook Live, because I know a lot of people will disagree. One, I didn't think the house was that messy. I really didn't. To me, a messy room is where there's no path on the floor. There's stains on the windows and on the couches. There's cat hair everywhere and dog hair. Dishes are piled up to a high to where you can't even see the fucking sponge or the drain. And to where the trash hasn't been taken out, so a bunch of stuff is just piling around there, and there's a messy ass stove. Granted, in every household, there's going to be a messy stove. I usually don't do intense cleaning till like every spring, or maybe about every 2 weeks is probably when I start cleaning, actually heavy duty cleaning. I just pick up after myself. I'm not too bad at leaving dishes everywhere or garbage. It's Sage that I'm actually noticing as well. But hopefully with some, quick little lessons from me and communication that we do, little chores together, that hopefully this tension between Sage and James will be lifted at least a little bit, and there won't be any blowing ups. The first time it really kind of shocked me because I literally froze up. I'm really reacting negatively, or not reacting at all, every time I'm yelling between family members and people I love. First it was between Mom and Butch. Then it was between siblings. Then it was between Auntie Kathy and a few other people. And then it was after Mom's death between Patty and Butch, and I was downstairs and I could literally hear it plain as day, and I was pacing and trembling, and I was tempted to hide myself in the closet or take off from the yelling and I usually attempted to hide for hours and hours and cover my ears, curl up in a ball, take off, or call 911. That's usually my 3 options every single time. And usually freezing up is the first one, because I shake, I shudder. I don't like when people argue in front of me. It's not that it's scary. It is scary, but it's tension, and all that tension, emotion, negativity literally swarms me up, and I feel claustrophobic, and I start panicking. It hasn't gotten any worse, but when there's yelling like this intensity, I freak out. And then after Butch and Patty, it was Casey and Steve, it was Melissa and Michelle, it was Michelle and Casey, it was Melissa and Casey, it was a few times the girls were right there in front of the yelling, and I did my best to defend them. And then when Melissa and Casey were arguing back at Corey's house, Melissa was taking care of them. Melissa was literally yelling at Casey and locking her out of the house, and the girls were right there in front of her. And I literally had to step in front of the girls and take them to my room, pack up a night bag, and we're going to head over to Casey's apartment. Because I was freaking out. Melissa went into her room. I called Casey, and I asked him, I said, I don't know what to do. Melissa's arguing with one of her friends or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but Melissa was at her high, angry moments, and I didn't want the girls to be around there, and I couldn't believe she did it in front of the girls. The girls did not need to see any of that. And then Melissa's all of a sudden defending herself and say, you don't need to do that. Girls, you're fine. Go play. And I was like, no, the girls were right there. So I did what I guess my inner mother would do and tell the girls to pack up a night bag. And we're going to go in my room. I'm going to call Casey, tell her to come pick us up, and go hang out at Casey's for the night. So Melissa can calm down and that the girls can recover a little bit. They've been through enough shit with their mom and with their dads and their own selves that they don't need to go through all this. And then to see Sage and James fight like this, it literally made me freeze up totally. I do not even remember most of it, what happened. I just remember flickers. And then all of a sudden, the first one, uh, James went and took off and, yelling and talking to himself. And the second time, James, after Sage went downstairs to probably just have alone time, apparently James thought Sage was disrespecting me by not doing anything or something. And I'm like, usually when a woman is disrespected, usually includes an overinflated ego, uh, ignorance, or arrogance. And I'm pretty sure Sage doesn't have any of that towards me. We actually have a true bond, and I haven't seen anything Sage has done wrong. I literally did not. So I was like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And apparently, James thought Sage raised his voice at Casey and was interrupting a lot. And James did not like that. So they were like inches from beating the crap out of each other, in which apparently James threatened or warned Sage that he was going to knock her teeth out. I'm like, just back off. Go downstairs. We literally hid downstairs for about 2 days to let James calm down and let Sage calm down. And Casey and James can find a new place or rethink the agreement here in this house, but me and Sage are gone. Nope, I'm not going to take it anymore. I tried to explain this tiny negative surrounding that Sage has been thrown into by James and Casey and the other people in North New Mexico that did this to her too. I don't think this is a safe place for Sage to start a new life. James could have easily just calmly talked without raising his voice, because when you literally yell at someone, specifically one as sensitive as Sage, you're going to get a reaction like that, try to defend themselves instead of being yelled at more and make it worse. I tried to warn Casey a little bit before all this that Sage had an abusive past, just to be a little careful what you say, and apparently it didn't click through. And James thinks that it just means that Sage is special and that's an excuse. So I got irritated by that as well, and I don't agree with anything James has said so far. And the tiny bit of stuff that Casey has said. So I'm still on the lookout for a new place. I'll rent a motel if I have to. It's just, I want to get out of here, and Sage needs to get out of here. Because I don't want there to be any blood spilled. I don't want the police over here. I don't want there to be any hatred or grudges between James and Sage anymore. And of course, I'm trying to warm up the confidence to talk to Sage about it. And me and Casey have agreed that I would work with Sage a little bit on communication and help with. Sage has no problem doing trash or dishes. That's fine with me. But it's just a matter of her getting used to being a roommate with 2 other people, I think. And there's clearly no communication between any of us except me and Casey, and that's it. So that's what happened the last 2 days. I'm still a little shooken about it. I think Sage is still a little shooken about it. James, there's still tension in the house, and I don't like it. I really wish we could just escape for a few days, but we don't have any money. There's hardly any way around the area without calling for an Uber or a taxi or the bus. And Sage has asthma and has an issue with sunlight, specifically a skin condition. So there's many other doubts about that I'm having that I really feel pretty sad about. It makes me think that me and Sage won't exactly get to enjoy the rest of the world because of her health issues and me not being able to help her much except I don't know, Sage thinks she can do this all by herself. But I want to help too, but then Sage doesn't want me to help because she just wants me to focus on school. Seems like there's a lot more wrong with our relationship than I thought. So, have a nice day, everybody. Bye. Love you. Bit work. Work.